Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Worst, a podcast where we watch movie trilogies and try to figure out which movie in them is the alpha and which movie is just a lowly doctor playing with his bones. I'm your host, Sir Lord Jimmy Conan, and call it joining me tonight.
I'm Griner Moon.
And I'm Luke, and I'm an atheist, and you're a Satanist.
But yeah, we're still best friends. All right, we're talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple. It's the second entry in the 28 years later trilogy, but it's the fourth entry in the 28 insert period of time franchise. This one's directed by Nia DaCosta instead of Danny Boyle, but it is written once more by Alex Garland. Fellas, what did you expect from this movie? I think this whole sort of trilogy coming was a bit of a surprise when we learned about it about a year ago. And then we talked about 6 months, the first entry, and I think there was a little bit of, at least on my behalf, a little bit of uncertainty about what Nia DaCosta would do, because part of the charm of 28 years later was that it was Boyle and Garland reunited again.
Yeah.
Were you guys expecting anything? I don't know. Were you expecting big things, better things, worse things? Did you have any hopes for it at all?
I was definitely expecting different things. Like, I was kind of expecting, par for the course, right? We've kind of come to expect certain things out of the 28 period of time trilogy, and this movie kind of subverts them, I guess, to some degree. It just doesn't try to even attempt to emulate what Danny Boyle was doing, right? Like, this is its own movie. Certainly the script is on point by Garland, but yeah, I'm gonna say this movie's weird a lot tonight, but I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, weird parentheses positive is what I'm gonna say about this movie.
Right on.
I kind of with Grana. I wasn't expecting this, but I wasn't really expecting anything. Like, I hadn't watched any trailers for this. And like when we did the last podcast, when I walked out of 28 years later, I had no idea a sequel was coming, like so soon, and I was like excited to find out about that. So I was unaware of this whole thing being built. I was kind of, I guess, if expect anything, just a sort of more like a direct sequel and similar tone and vibe from 28 years later. Obviously, not knowing the full behind the scenes of different director and all this sort of stuff and how it was going to be done, but like Grana said, not saying it's a negative thing, probably a positive thing, but yeah, definitely different than what I was expecting, if I had any expectations.
I think I had some expectations that it was going to be weird. Like, the ending of 28 years later is very odd, and it's bombastic, and it's like it's kind of a it's kind of a kick in the face. It's like, what the hell am I? What am I watching here? And then this movie almost flips it on its head again. Like, it doesn't actually continue down that kind of path in the way I expected. A lot of subversion, I feel like.
Which, like, people clashed against that final scene when it came out, but you either loved it or you hated it. Like, I remember a lot of the discussion on Reddit with people just like, what on earth was that final scene? And hating it. Some people were like, oh, this is classic, this is great. And I was kind of more on the latter side of that, the former side of that, where I wasn't a huge fan of the tonal shift. I really liked the tone of the movie up till that point. And it was just a stark contrast for me, where I guess there was a part of me that was kind of worried coming into this it was going to be like that. So I guess I had relief that it was more subdued than what that final scene showed.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's kind of that was the crux of, like, for a lot of people's reception of that movie. Like, the friend I saw this with, he was pretty skeptical of it. He's pretty down on the first one, and the recurring thing he kept saying was like the ending just threw him. He's like, the ending just didn't work for me. And same deal, I found a lot of people online just like, the tonal shift's dumb, the whole ending scene's stupid, this movie sucks. And it feels like there's been a lot of that, people painting the whole movie with that one brush, just because it is an intentional, like, slap in the face in a lot of ways. But I mean, like, years later, the whole movie is full of weird little flourishes by Danny Boyle. It's like it's interspersed with scenes of battle marches and the like films from the 50s showing English war back in the medieval period. And it's got those random scenes of night vision where it shows the infected eating the deer.
The weird
It's like-
iPhone camera where it spins around like a Matrix shot kind of thing. Like
That's right, yeah,
They
like-
experimented with a bunch of stuff in that film.
Exactly. And it's like that movie is filled with little flourishes and choices like that. And so the tonal shift at the end, I'm like, that is honestly completely expected for this kind of movie. I don't get why people had an issue with it. So I can understand why, but I think it's such a weird thing to get hung up on. It's like this movie's been full of stuff like this. Why are you now being like, no, that doesn't work, but you're okay with randomly seeing footage of black and white films of people marching? Like that's, I don't know, weird thing,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, people took it personally. But yeah, this
Speaking of-
movie was
Speaking of weird things like to get hung up on and that you take personally, so you saw it with a friend? I don't remember me or Griner getting an invite.
because
You skipped over that detail.
It's a
Saw it
good
with a friend.
segue. Wow. You guys went and saw it together without me.
It's true.
Getting our favorite fried chicken Red Rooster.
Oh
having a-
yeah, like
and
a
having a
boys'
gay
night.
old time together. And I didn't get an
Yes.
invite. I got photos after the fact of like, wow, look how much fun we're having.
And during, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Before,
exactly.
cheering, and the sweaty aftermath.
But
So-
before we even ate our dinner, we're like, I need to take a photo of this to send it to Conan.
Yeah.
I was like,
and
before
I was at home
indulge
like,
in
man,
this.
I was like, I have no dinner right now. I would love some fried chicken. And then there it is.
Well, no, we were committed. We had to drive, 3 hours in total to see a movie because our local cinema didn't show it.
They pulled the rug on us. Like
They
it
pulled the
literally
rug
was.
on us.
It was on the list to play, and then the week it was supposed to come out. No. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
And that's after
I'm-
they delayed it 2 weeks. It was meant to come out January 15th, and then they delayed it 2 weeks and then pulled the rug.
And then we saw it in the cinema by ourselves. We had the whole cinema to ourselves. Was the cinema busy for you, Conan?
Yeah, it's such a this is so weird, isn't it? I'll talk about that in a minute after stats. But ours was not packed by any means. Like, I'm trying to think when we saw it I think we saw it Thursday night actually, so like opening night or the night after opening. And yeah, not packed at all. I don't know, 20 people if that.
28.
Like, and this is no, I counted and I was like, come on guys, get your shit together. But like it was a
saying
massive
We saw it 2 weeks later on a Sunday night at 8:30. Bit of a weird time. They'd even turned the popcorn machine off and had cleaned it. Which was
yeah, that's
Ask Grana, I was so devoted. I was sitting there stewing angry about it for about half an hour because I just finished telling Grana, I was like, oh no, I'm definitely getting popcorn after that Big Red Rooster feed. I was like, I wouldn't go to the movies if I'm not getting popcorn. And then we get there and he's disinfecting the popcorn
Think of the
machine.
sodium, man. Think of the sodium. But anyway.
The story, the only thing that made the story better is if you guys didn't watch the movie because you got there and you're like, I can't.
I was
do
like,
it.
we're
I'm not
going
doing it.
home.
We're
I almost
going
did,
back.
but Grana asked for me because he knows I'm too nervous. He was like, I'm guessing no popcorn. And they went and scooped it out of the bin, I'm sure. They were like, oh, we still have some popcorn. And they went and scooped it out of some bin.
I could hear a plastic bag rustling behind the counter.
And it was
like
cold. It was
definitely in
cold
a bin bag.
popcorn.
That's great.
Yep. I ate
Did
it.
you eat it?
I ate it all. I ate it all.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah,
I went back
loved
for more after.
I loved it. Yeah, it was great. But yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we'll talk about the reception in a moment. Let's do stats first.
Stats.
So, thus far, 28 years later, the Bone Temple has made 46.2 million worldwide against a budget of 63 million. For reference, 28 years later made 151 million to a $60 million budget. So it has got a long way to go yet. These were shot back to back, so I'm not really sure how the budgeting works exactly. Like, they're two different numbers, but I'm sure there's a lot, Ralph Fiennes would have been paid some sort of rate for making two films. They would have been shot on some sort of like cheaper thing like that. So I don't know how much of this is like estimation, how much of this is whatever else. It's being marketed pretty heavily, but Sony also loves losing money. They make Morbius and stuff, so I don't know what's going on. I think they're probably happy with this. But like, it's got a Metascore of 80, so very good, very positive critical reception, higher than highest one in the franchise thus far. Do you got like what do you guys make of the box office failure? Because it's a pretty big fall off. Like, it's been a big story, I feel. I think the second weekend was down to like 3.6 million, which is an incredible, like 70% fall off, some bullshit like that. I don't know. Why do you guys think this has happened?
Do you feel like there was a big marketing push for this movie? I don't know that there really
wasn't.
was. Like, I don't know. Did we get
feel like there was.
Fiennes out there doing a media circuit for it?
We did. I saw some
Sorry,
clips
I guess
circulating.
I don't mean that.
But
I mean,
He did-
mostly like just the trailer and the promo shots I saw everywhere. I was thinking like the shot of him sort of in the dance and like the trailer of showing little bits of like him climbing and like in the middle of the sort of the key
bone
scene, I
temple.
guess. Yeah, right up there, just boning hard. I saw that quite a lot, but I guess demographic.
This feels like a really, like, having seen the movie, it's like, how do you even cut something from this film to show as a trailer or as a teaser? Like,
have you guys seen the trailer, Luke? You said you haven't.
I haven't, but it feels like it must be a weird.
The trailer is amazing. Like,
Is it?
It's an incredible job that they did. I came into this being like, I was so excited for this movie because the trailer made it look incredible, what they did with it, and because all the marketing has like the main poster of this is Dr. Kelson, sort of like spasmodically, and he's looking like he's possessed. And the trailer is really kind of shot to be like, oh, maybe he gets infected, or maybe he's going crazy, or something's going wrong. And the way that they then play with that in this movie is really clever, because I went in expecting one thing. I was kind of like, surely they're not going to give that much away. But it's like a really good old school trailer where it sells like an idea, doesn't spoil anything. It just sells hints at what's happening, and it was so engrossing. And then the movie's like, yeah, that's actually none of what you expect is really what happens.
This is the thing. I remember, like, I avoided the trailer for 28 years later, but I just remember there was a lot more hype for it when it came out. Like, there was all the people talking about the dude in the flower field looking like Cillian Murphy. Like, there was the use of the Boots poem, which was like, I remember being in a cinema when the trailer played. I mean, like, I don't want to watch anything, and that's all I could hear was the Boots poem, and it kind of haunted me a bit. I was like, oh, this sounds messed up. And I don't know, like, it's not like he's a huge movie star that like makes box office or anything like that, but I feel just like the vision of Aaron Taylor Johnson on the cover of Bow and Arrow, it felt like this big movie, like, oh, the franchise is returning. While even us a few weeks ago when we were talking about doing this podcast next, we're like, oh shit, is that out? Is that out like in 2 weeks' time? Like, it's like we who are in the scene, we're like huge podcasters, you know, like we have our ear to the ground. We were kind of surprised that it was coming out. I just don't feel the same. The marketing was the same around this.
No, it wasn't. Sorry, I'm not comparing the market. I'm not saying it's the same thing. Like, I think it wasn't like a shadow drop. It didn't just come literally out of nowhere. At least for me and where I am, this trailer played a lot. It played before every movie I saw. I saw it on I saw it marketing around the city. I saw it on YouTube, things like, I saw the trailer a fair bit, and I saw the poster around a lot. I'm very immersed in like Letterboxd and film stuff, so maybe that's what, like, it's just kind of the algorithm sort of is like, hey, you like movies, so here's another movie. But like, I think I get the impression they were relying on the marketing of the first one still, because it's only a 6-month gap. I sort of get the impression that people were still like, oh yeah, that movie we saw, and then they'll see something like, whoa, there's more. But
I also think the tonal shift at the end may have turned a bunch of people off too.
I was going to say, this movie feels like a hard sell, right? Because there's the people who were turned off by the end of the first one, so they're not interested in the sequel anyway. The people who did see it, like, I don't know, to you guys, was Dr. Kelson like the thing you wanted to find out more about after the first movie? Because it wasn't for me, if I'm honest, right? Like, I wanted to see where the story was going. Yeah, but I was, and we kind of talked about this the other day, but like, I wanted to know more about the island and what's, there's something shady going on there, but we don't, we get none of that, and they don't, like, it just feels like a really hard movie to market. And I don't have a solution for them, but.
No, you're right. Like, yeah, it's not even the fault of, this film, but you're right, like, it's in a weird spot, because the first one was banking on nostalgia pretty heavily. We'd waited 25 years or whatever for this.
Yep.
And like I said, Luke, it had Aaron Taylor Johnson with a bow and arrow and like creepy looking imagery and like that incredibly haunting rendition of Boots. Like, really good trailer. They plugged it really well. They had a lot of sort of that slow burn marketing leading up to it. And yeah, this had kind of like, a lot of people were alienated by the people who were keen to see this were always going to see it. But I think, yeah, a lot of them aren't. A lot of the people who saw 28 years were the people who saw 28 Days Later 20 years ago and have a real fondness for that, because they probably watched it when they were teenagers or whatever, and Fast Zombies kicks ass. And so then, like 28 years was such a shock to the system. I just think they're probably like, well, we've had enough of that. We don't That is not a conventional zombie film at all. It is not
No.
interested in these ideas. And this one's kind of like the trailer for this one kind of showed that it was going a little bit back to like just pure horror. But yeah, I think you're right. The damage is kind of done. All the curiosity viewers was sort of turned off it already, which is a shame. I'd hope it doesn't do anything for doesn't stop the third one. I don't think it will. As far as I know, Sony has greenlit it, and they haven't said they're canceling it. You know, they are, like I said, they're a company that are happy with losing money, and there is value in having like these sort of critically adored franchises. I do feel like there's probably some sense that they're like, look, let's just do this trilogy. We'll have a good relationship with Alex Garland and Danny Boyle.
They're not the most expensive movies ever either, right? Like $63 million budget. What's that today, right? It's nearly an indie movie.
Like basically, yeah, they're pretty cheap to make. I'm sure there was like some, you know, a lot of these people probably took some small. Like Cillian Murphy was an executive producer. I'm sure he put some money towards it after his big Oppenheimer earnings and stuff. So I have hope for that, but it does bum me out like that. These movies kind of get overlooked years, and then I think this one will be a bit by the average audience who are wanting more like Walking Dead but with fast zombies, and these movies are not interested in being Walking Dead with fast zombies.
Do you think this movie is nearly impossible for someone to walk into without having seen the prequel as well, right? Like this you know, there's not a standalone story here really that you can latch onto, in my opinion.
No, it's the purest of sequels. Yeah, it's like literally picks up where the first one ends.
Yeah.
If you have going this blind would just be a complete mess. And yeah, I'm sure word of mouth probably did affect that. Like, you know, if you saw this and then you went to your friends and he's like, oh, should I watch that? I haven't seen the first one. You'd be like, well, no, you got to see that first. And like, oh, okay, I couldn't be bothered then.
Yeah.
In a weird way, it also, as much as it is like a direct sequel and following on and it'd be confusing to watch this on its own, it also rarely references anything from the first film. Like, he doesn't talk about his mum. There's no reference about his mum with being in the Bone Temple. There's not a single reference about his dad or like where he's from. Like, he doesn't have it, bring it up in conversation or anything like that.
But I think
it's because it.
Well, I was going to say, I think this movie's so based on Kelson, right? Like, he is the biggest character, and I don't think he works without knowing where he comes from in the first movie. And then also, there's also that tension between him knowing Spike and, you know, all those things that you just totally miss out on.
Yeah, like it's because it doesn't tell you any of this because it's assumed you know that. Like, it never introduces Spike as a character because it assumes, well, you know, he's the kid from the first one. Like, if you went in as blind, you'd be like, he doesn't need to talk about his mum who he lost, but
no,
it would be completely confusing to just be like, there's this kid and he knows this guy somehow. And like,
no, I'm not saying that it can be watched without seeing the first one, but I was a bit surprised that it doesn't. There's no loose threads from the first one that continue into this, if you know what I mean. Like, I wanted to know more about the dad. I wanted to know more about. Surely he's looking for his son, or like.
Yeah, it is interesting that the island literally is not in this. It doesn't feature at all. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not in this.
I was expecting a post-credit scene or something.
Well, even when they show like a group of survivors foraging, I'm like, oh, these are people from the island. Okay, they're going to take us back to the island. We'll see what's going on there. But not at all.
No, yeah. So like, I remember leading the first one, being like, oh yeah, cool. It's going to be the Jimmys versus the island. It's going to be this like old world versus this roaming group of bandits, and they don't do that.
Kelson has this like dark horse. It's like this third mysterious party in it.
That's right, and something cool was going to happen. Yeah, they just kind of they even play with it a little bit. In there's a scene where we first see Samson again kill the hunter, and it's a guy who he looks like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes.
That's clearly done to fake you out.
Yeah,
it's kind of just like this little wink of, okay, well, you thought you were going to get him. No, not in this film, which is a really interesting choice to just be like, this is a direct sequel, but has nothing to do with the first one. It's like its own self-contained story that is entirely necessary. Entirely predicated on the events of that. Like, I know brave's a wanky word, but it's a brave choice to make a movie like this in 2026 and not be like, how do we just have fan favorite Aaron Taylor Johnson appear? And how do we not have flashbacks of Jodie Comer sort of giving more information, you know? And like,
or how is the Cillian Murphy, you know, part of this movie not huge, right? Like, how is he not the main character? Like, yeah.
Why doesn't he walk through a portal and stand there for 10 seconds while the audience claps? Yeah. And he's like, I've been been fighting Thanos off in the mainland.
Yeah.
All right, look, let's get into the meat and potatoes of it then. 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Immediately after the events of 28 years later, Spike is captured by the roaming group of rogues known as the Jimmies, led by Jack O'Connell's Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, and is thrust into a world of human violence instead of just infected violence. Meanwhile, Dr. Kelson makes a significant discovery that could change everything we know about the Rage virus. Really sort of small film. Basically has two locations.
Not a big plot.
Sort of
Not a big plot
two extended scenes, yeah. Which is pretty. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting this,
No.
but I wasn't bummed out by it in any way. But you can definitely feel like, you know, DaCosta was probably there on set with a lot of this stuff when they were like filming the train stuff and when they were in different areas and like, okay, we're gonna film this now. And like, you know, we'll get some footage for this while we're all here, and that's why they reuse most of the scenes. Like they're all in the Bone Temple still. It's in the train. The only sort of different scene really is the pool scene at the very beginning, and the rest of it is stuff we've already
the farm, right? Like that we haven't seen before, but
true.
But that might as well be any farm in England, right?
Yeah, it looks just like the sort of the farm in the first movie that they stop in.
Yeah.
And it looks just like the farm at the end where we find, spoiler alert, Cillian Murphy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What were you guys expecting more?
I definitely was. Like, I think I felt a bit. I felt like the whole time I was expecting something more. I guess, like right up to then, I'm like, you know, where is the big thing? But we kind of
when's the shoe drop?
Yeah, and we kind of don't get it. But the more I think about this movie, and the more I'm like, no, this movie was really interesting and good. Like I didn't dislike it. It was just I was kind of expecting there to be, you know, a big horror scene. Like there's horror moments for sure, but they're kind of not the ones you expect, I guess. Like
it's gruesome moments, but yeah.
There's not a lot of zombie horror at all.
That's right, yeah. There's only about really 3 or 4 scenes with zombies. Like I think there's like 3 jump scares with an infected sort of lunging at the camera, and that's it. Then all the horror really comes from the Jimmies. And you know, there is this bizarre group of wanderers. He calls them, I can't remember. He calls them roamers or something, and they basically just wear wigs and dress like Jimmy Savile. And they have this mission. How's that is like their sacred creed, which is very, very funny and very off-putting. And they have this mission to do old Nick's work and kill people, basically. I don't know. What did you guys think of all this? Because there's so much subtext going on with them, right? There is never a moment where this movie says why they dress the way they do. Never even goes into... The most we get is he briefly explains the Teletubbies to one character, where he's like, they're robots with TVs in their tummies, and on the tummies they watch the TV of themselves on their tummies.
Yeah, I like the recursion of the Teletubbies being explained in this movie. Like it's bizarre. Like this movie is weird. Like super strange, but very entertaining. And I was kind of expecting there to be more. Like why do they dress like this? Why are they all Jimmies? Why is there 7 fingers? 5 fingers? Yeah, 7 fingers.
7 fingers. Not like a real hand.
No, not like a real hand.
An AI hand. It's all about AI.
But we kind of just have to accept it, right? Like,
Conan. Yeah. Grona and I had this conversation. Did you know of like old Saint Nick as Satan? Like,
no,
does that name strike Satan to you? Because I think it's Santa. I don't know why.
I coined it like as soon as Kelson says, like when he's sort of talking to him, I was pissing him like he's referring to the devil, surely. And then there was something coining, and then I did remember I knew something about that. I looked it up. There is like Old Nick is a name for Satan. Yeah, it's a colloquial term used throughout Britain, presumably like a bastardization of Saint Nicholas. It's like the Saint Nick and his Old Nick.
Is that where Little Nicky comes from?
I assume so. Yes.
There we go.
So. We should do that as a next trilogy. Little Nicky kicks ass. But that's a good example. Like this movie is really mature and uncaring with sort of holding your hand through any of it. It doesn't give you blatant explanations. You know, there's no moment where Jimmy Crystal's like laughs at Dr. Kelson. He's like, "Well, the reason why I dress like this is you remember Jimmy Savile? Ha ha ha." And so the audience can go, "Oh, great! I'm glad that." Like, it has all these questions, like in real life, and it never needs to explain them. And like old Nick, for the longest time, you're like, "What? Who the fuck is old Nick?" And then it just kind of drops like, "Oh, Satan." And it's like, yeah, if you know that, you know that. Like, there would have been people who would just know straight away that's who old Nick is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like with the tracksuits, people, especially British people, would see that and straight away be like, "Okay, you are dressed as, this notorious pedophile who, at the time of the movie, or at the time the world collapsed, he wasn't known as a pedophile." So there's this great irony there of like, you were dressed as this beloved person in British culture who's actually rotten to the core, and that serves as a metaphor for like this entire franchise. Basically, the idealized idea of old Britain and how it's actually just as rotten as anything, because there's no such thing as this glorious old Britain, And we talked about this in the previous pod about 28 years later. It's like a commentary on Brexit and how it's like trying to achieve this idea of the glory of what England used to be, and there's really no such thing. It's always been a bit of a shit show. And that works so well because it just makes you uncomfortable, and it just makes you kind of curious because you're not sure how he knows this, you're not sure how he connects to it. You're not sure. It's like, why is he taking him on as a mantle? But that's how good world building is done. Like, there is an answer to it, and it's.
But we don't need to know it. Like,
yes,
as in somebody knows it. That's
all it's confident to know. Like, we know that Garland knows, and he's done this intentionally to be like, yeah, it makes sense. I didn't just pull it out of my ass. So like the internal logic works, and we like subconsciously pick up on that. And I guess we get that his sort of monologue where he's giving a sermon and when he's at the farmhouse. And he's like, and then he says unto me, you will take 7 fingers and you will go around and give charity to the world. How's that? That's kind of the closest thing we get to an explanation, where it's like he's basically reciting his origin story. But yeah, there's never any clunky exposition. There's never any dump of like he opens up to somebody, which.
I mean, you get a little bit of an open when he opens up to Kelson, which is kind of fun. Like, and Kelson's putting together like, oh, you live next door to the church, did you? In the rectory, he's like, yeah. Like, he's putting together the story of his father being a priest and apparently controlling all the demons and all this stuff. Like, it's
he's counseling. He's therapist where he's like, okay, I can see what's happened with you for sure.
Yeah. I guess good way to talk about Kelson. Like Ralph Fiennes. Just incredible in this film. Incredible in the first one, but like you said, Griner, he is the star of this. Like, he's on the poster. This is his movie. He's the protagonist. He is the focal point. I don't know. He's probably like he's got to be the greatest actor who just isn't recognized as a great actor. Like, he doesn't have an Oscar yet. He should have. And like, he's been in Best Picture winners, but he's just like consistently great. Elevates everything he's in. Turns up in a movie as like the third build character, and it's like, this is going to be great because it's got him in it.
That's the thing when you go back through history, sort of thing. Like, that thing, I would think if you talk to like the common person, they don't know the name Ralph Fiennes. Possibly, like, he's not like a household name, but it's like, oh, he was Voldemort. Like, he's in Red Dragon as like, you know what I mean? Like, he's all these iconic villains, and
he's been in so much stuff,
and for 20 something years. You know what I mean? I feel like it's been more recently with stuff like The Menu and stuff like that, where he's probably getting that more front of center poster sort of treatment. But yeah, he's always good. Like, he is always good, and he's so great in this. He's a soothing presence. I enjoy all of his scenes. You know what I mean? Like, he's
just so charismatic in this movie. Like, it just feels like he's everybody's best friend somehow.
Even the alpha.
he's like the only truly like moral character in these movies as well, in a weird way. Like, and yet he lives amongst the bones of the dead, and he's got all these weird rituals he performs, and he's a very interesting character, and very very well performed, as you say.
He is, and we get him properly fleshed out in this. And in 28 years later, he was kind of like he was a trick. He was the big bad, essentially. Like, Aaron Taylor Johnson gives this whole speech about how he saw this guy waving from their bones from this field of corpses, and he's like, we knew that was evil. We knew that was evil. And then he's this lovely old man who's like, remember the dead, because we're all unified through death. We are all the same. All these skulls, blah blah blah. And so we have this. He's something there, but in this, like, we actually get to understand who he is. He is not just this sort of wise old sage. He's a man. He's a man with a lot of sadness and a lot of sorrow. He's listening to Duran Duran underground at night, and he's pretty sad. And he's just like, just in the dark, miserable, because he's trying to find meaning through his work. And he's sort of reached a point 28 years later that he's just like, what is there really to this? What is the point of this? And that's really compelling, because then obviously you get the two main conflicts of this movie. You get Samson's interjection, and then following on from that, you get his world. You get Kelson's worldview of like, we are all people, and there's something here that clashes with Jimmy's worldview of everyone must die. It's kind of, I give this kind of like an interesting trifecta story where there's three different forces at play here. Yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think of Samson? What did you guys think of this whole Samson arc? The story that maybe the virus is curable, because that's the big revelation this movie drops. It's going to obviously have some legs in the third film.
I think it's interesting that, because obviously in 28 weeks later, there's the person that's immune, or whatever it is, and it's like all these scientists working on how to create a cure or everything like that. I do find it quite interesting, this idea of in this world, and I feel like it's quite a unique thing that we haven't seen in all these zombie movies and stuff like that we've always had, of treating it as opposed to curing it. It's like, it's a mental thing, like a psychosis, where if you treat it like a normal thing, this is chemically what's happening in the body for the rage virus, and you treat that, and you can subdue it or help it. Who knows if Samson needs an ongoing treatment plan to stay like that, or if in a month's time the rage takes over again and it comes over because he hasn't been treated for a while, sort of thing. And I would assume that's the way. It doesn't really show it as like that, but you would assume if you was to treat a normal person like a human being, it would be an ongoing treatment plan. So I find that quite interesting. I quite liked seeing from Samson's perspective what the rage virus is like, where he looks at that hunter on the ground and sees this like violent image, and it's like, of course you just want to. It's like people are like that, like ripping at skin and stuff like that. Like they have these like psychosis, and it's like, it was interesting to see it from that perspective, as opposed to just like, brains, I want to eat brains. He does eat brains, and it's really gross. But it's like, I found that really interesting. If I'm a big fan of it overall, of like, did this franchise need that? But I find the idea of it really fascinating that they explored.
I'm normally not a fan of like in zombie movies or horror movies, like curing the monster. Particularly zombie movies, I think, because it's come up before, or where the zombies start to adopt human traits again. There's a 2000s zombie movie where they start using payphones and shit because they're like remembering who they were before. And I'm not into that, but for some reason it kind of works here. Like it combine the fact that it's a virus and we know it's a virus built in a lab, and then the way Kelson is like, drugging him and slowly learning about him over time. I'm kind of okay with it. And then I really enjoyed like that. There's that kind of that nightmare scene where the alpha comes to and he's surrounded by zombies and he's got to wrestle them in the train, and it's like, that's terrifying. Like, you get cured and now you're surrounded by zombies. Like, what the hell? Like, that's a really bad outcome. Obviously he's the alpha, so he survives. But yeah, I mean, it made him put on pants, and I don't know how I feel about that. But other than that, yeah, I actually kind of like where they're going with it. I normally am not a fan of them curing zombies, but I think it works.
Yeah, it's usually like the tried and true sort of narrative direction of a zombie film is like, well, we need to cure the virus or we need to start again. It's usually one of those two options. Like, we need to make a civilization rebuild, or we need to cure this and save it. And you're right, that usually just becomes a way to like keep a story going. I think what's different here is that is kind of the only place a story like this can go. Like, I think part of the reason these movies haven't done well is because people want 28 Days Later, which is like, we want to see survival in the face of a zombie apocalypse. It's like, this movie is literally set 28 years after that. The apocalypse has ended.
Yeah.
The infected are still out in the woods, but it is not like someone waking up and having to adjust to this new world. They have adjusted and started again. And Kelson has made a bone temple and he's figured out his life. And so the only sort of question now is really, I think the main thing is like the rest of the world is still going on as normal. This isn't like an end of the world. Yeah.
And that's what's kind of shown in 28 years later. They've got iPhones, they're influencers on the outside. And there's this one like block of land, like, this land that's just still infected, where they've just isolated it. That's what's interesting about it, because it's like, we've already established that.
Yeah, and the whole scene with Jimmy and Kelson talking, where Kelson's reflecting about how like he can't really remember the world before. He can remember bits and pieces, but he can't remember like whole sways. He can remember like using a computer. But so it's like he's losing his memory of it. But it's this interesting like humanistic reflection on how he's losing his place in history. But then we are aware, the history's still going on without them. Like the world has still moved on. And it's kind of like this tragedy of they're lost to time and they're lost to this just this bizarre reversion of a world. And so they don't need to rebuild because like, well, what are they rebuilding? It's like humanity is fine. Humanity is kicking ass out, Under the glorious presidency of Donald J. Trump, we can assume that America's going great. So it's thriving. But for them in this moment, there's this question of like, what else do you do? Because what is life really? It's like, we're all just going to die eventually, I guess. And we don't need to rebuild because civilization's fine. So the idea of being like, can we cure this is I find really compelling, especially because it's almost not concerned with like the science of it, right? We get that montage of him studying drugs and making pills, and like he's got books on Eastern medicine and Western medicine, and he's researching this. And then it's like, but the point is not like, oh, here's how it's cured. It's like, well, it might be psychosis, and let's see what that does. But it's just like this idea of restoring humanity. And Kelson is like connecting with what everyone else perceives as a monster, but there's actually a human there. And then Samson is sort of finds his humanity too. And like everything from like the train flashback where he says moon and he's reading the book as this kid. And like so much of this movie is spent with them dancing and just hanging out in the Bone Temple,
and just
just
vibing. It's great.
And those scenes are really tense as well because Kelson sort of goes to fall asleep. It's like, are you going to get torn apart?
Yeah,
yeah.
And like me watching, I'm like, oh, he doesn't even realize because he's so high. But he wakes up and he's like, oh, I'm still here. So he obviously knew. Like he was okay with that lot in life of like, oh, well, this might be the end. Samson tears me apart in my sleep, but
I'm experimenting.
Yeah.
I'm finding something to live for beyond just death. Like I'm finding life. That's what he's doing, right? He's finding a life to this. And there's that beautiful scene where he's going to euthanize Samson, and he's like trying to get consent. Where he's like, you have to give me something to say that you know. And it's just like he is still adhering to this Hippocratic oath as a doctor because he's not going to let go of his humanity.
Yeah,
because he still thinks these people there's something to them, and he's proven right.
Yeah. Just in time.
just in time.
Yeah.
And then we get it, but then that kind of gets challenged not by the infected, but by another human. And Jimmy Crystal turns up and he's just like, I don't want to kill you, but I will kill you unless you give these people my weird mission.
And we get brutally as well. Like he describes how he'll kill him. Yeah.
And then we get probably the coolest scene in this movie, I think, like the dance scene.
Which is not what I expected, right? Like, again, I was kind of always waiting for the shoe to drop, and then we get an extended dance number with Ralph Fiennes. Like, it's not what I expected, but it's fun, a lot of fun, and he's loving it. He's so into it. He is really enjoying himself there. I feel like
it's great. Yeah, Iron Maiden blaring. He's got like the suit with the fire going everywhere. He's blowing cocaine in their faces. It's because that is the scene in the trailer. Like it shows him sort of writhing and dancing. And that was played in the trailer, and so you're assuming that he's getting infected, or like I was expecting him to like start microdosing with the virus, and start to be like, what happens if I take bits? Can I control this? And then to have this fake outcome where he's like, I'm just going to pretend to be Satan.
Just acting. He's acting like the devil.
Really, really funny, especially because that's his idea of the devil. He's like, okay, I guess you listen to this Iron Maiden and dance around like this with black eyeshadow, like just a really funny moment in an otherwise super dark film.
And not out of place funny, right? Like it's not like in world it works, right? Like I can't imagine they've listened to a lot of music and the fact that it works in world is kind of amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Again, that's what this movie does so well is like we as the audience are aware of so much more being that we're not stuck on this island and we know the world didn't end. So we have all this like this ironic appreciation for it, I get. But then comes the turn. Yeah.
I guess the other thing we kind of have skipped over a bit that is the tearing of the shirt or whatever it's called.
The charity work, right?
Yeah. Charity. It's the other, probably the big set piece in the middle of the film.
The version of the idea of charity is like, is downright evil, I guess. Like if you weren't sure about Jimmy before, particularly, at the end of the first movie, you're not totally sure what his motivations are or what he's going to be like, and then right. you get the scene in the pool, and that's cutthroat, but maybe that's just post-apocalypse survival. But then we get the scenes of charity at this dinner table, and it's just like, oh, these guys suck.
Yeah, and that is the extended horror piece. Like that is where the horror of this movie comes from. It's like it's the sadistic human evil rather than the like in that scene, I found myself kind of like, man, I just kind of wish some infected would turn up. Because the infected, at least they just like they vomit some blood and you're infected, you're gone. Whereas Jimmy, like they're taking time, they're flaying these people and they're like slowly torturing them for no other reason besides his own satanic ramblings that we don't actually know if he believes. Like when he meets Kelson, you can see that he's almost like he doesn't even really believe it. It's like he's aware that maybe he's wrong, and he's trying to convince his followers of this. But it's like you don't even know if he's a true believer, which makes it all more sort of like kind of revolting because it's like this guy is just he's a cult leader,
and he's quite on board with tricking them into thinking that Kelson is Saint Nick. He's like, okay, cool, and give him the commands, and then we're good, we're out of here.
Yes.
Yeah, but the charity scene's brutal. It's kind of funny when Spike and all that are sitting down inside, and they're like, it's a different kind of screaming, isn't it? And it just like bursts out in flames.
Yeah,
she is really good. She's the girl from Captain America. From what is it? The
is it? I thought it was her. I did think it was her. Yeah, she wasn't good in that, but she's good.
But she's good in this. Erin Kellyman. Yeah, where she's just like she kind of is not buying any of this shit, but she just has no other choice.
But she kind of is buying it.
She's kind of
she believes Kelson.
She's down for Satan. She's just not sure that Jimmy Crystal is the man. Right?
Yes, I don't think she believes in Jimmy's stuff. Like she's just like, well, what else am I supposed to do, basically? Yeah. And her sort of like weird relationship with Spike is nice, where she's just like she recognizes something in him and takes him under her wing, but she's also like she's not as empathetic as him. She's also a bit more desensitized.
Yeah, but protects him, kills the other one, willing to kill for him. And then they walk off alone, sort of thing at the end. But I'm sad to lose Kelson.
Yeah,
I'm sad to
lose. I got a big swing. I didn't expect that. I was like, okay, this is going to be like the Kelson trilogy. He's going to come back in the third one and play. Before I saw this, I was expecting him to play into all of these and be a pivotal part, and there'd be like a big showdown in the third one, maybe between all these different forces or something. And to conclude him here.
And I guess that's kind of the thing as well about this whole treating the virus. It's like Samson doesn't know what fixed him. He knows Kelson did, but he doesn't know, or nobody's going to believe him. Where he's like, no, I was infected. I was like the infected. Trust me, I was like eating brains and shit. And Kelson's dead.
They could easy retcon that. Like he spent so much time with him. Kelson could have explained it to him or wrote him a note. Like there's things that he could have done to. He could have left him a prescription medication regimen to stick to so that he doesn't turn back, right? Like, we don't know. You could retcon that if you want to. But you're right. Yeah. Do you guys feel like there's enough... Like, it kind of feels like this movie ends where...
This could be it.
It's okay if we don't get another one in some ways. Like, there's loose threads for sure, but it's not a cliffhanger like the first one, right? Like, there's no obvious... things that need to be tied up. There's certainly things I'd love for them to tie up. I want to know what's happening on the island. There's the pregnant lady that escapes from the farm, probably not as important, and then obviously curing the infected. What happens with Spike? And then obviously we get to meet Cillian Murphy again as well at the end.
Yeah, and then exactly. We get Cillian Murphy. That personally was bigger for me than he was bigger than any Marvel stinger. That was a bigger moment than the snap. Just
Bigger
seeing
than
him
Samson?
talking about his. He stands on Samson's shoulders and can see the whole world, man.
Yeah.
The Killing Murphy reveal was I was cheering, and everyone else in the cinema was like, "This movie sucks."
You
'cause
knew
it's
it was
got enough
coming though, right?
violence." No, and don't say you all did. Don't act
No,
like you
because
guys saw it.
no. I had heard it was leaked everywhere, and I knew I was trying to avoid stuff from this movie, but
So you
I
haven't seen a
hadn't s-
trailer of this, but you've somehow.
I hadn't.
you
No,
know
no,
it's
legit.
legit.
I hadn't seen the trailer.
Oh,
I think I'm pretty sure we talked about it when we did the last podcast. You liar! We talked about and Cillian Murphy's in the next one. We're like
Yeah,
Cillian
I
Murphy's
remember.
apparently going to be in the next one.
He was talking about returning, but it was never clearly confirmed. As, yes,
No,
here
I
am.
remember seeing articles
I'm
back
cast
then.
in the
Cillian
movie.
Murphy's cast in the second one because even me, I hadn't seen any trailers for this one, but I was like, Cillian Murphy shows up at some point, and I was like, it's probably going to be the post credits.
yeah.
But yeah, do you think?
It's just so smart. Sorry.
And that's the
Not
thing. I
smart
feel
as
like
does.
it. Yeah, obviously it could end here because the threads that are mostly left over are the same ones that were left over from the first one that they didn't continue through this one with the dad and the island. I would like that to continue, but this is also. It could just be he's there to save them and he'll live a good life with him. But Conan, do you think it's interesting that the whole thing he's talking about is history repeating itself, and it's like a father and daughter rescuing two people coming in, and last time that happened, it was Killian on the other end of that. What happened there? You know.
Yeah, like I can't imagine that Cillian Murphy's Jim makes it out at the third one.
That's so depressing though.
So
Like
many
I
gyms.
was already kind of depressed by like seeing him in this movie. Like, because the first movie ends with hope, right? It's like, oh, a plane flies over, the infected are starving to death, which they kind of retcon. It's like, oh, he's not going to be stuck in this farmhouse forever. But then here we find him 25 years later. We only see him and his daughter, so there's two other survivors that maybe they're out getting food. But let's hope they're out getting food and not also dead. But
Maybe Jim's harem of women have left him.
yes, maybe.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
true.
know. I don't
There's
know.
a lot
Like
of-
I was a bit bittersweet to see him, I guess. Like because you hope that he gets a life, but
Seems like he's living a pretty good life. Gonna be honest. It
Does he get?
seems like a better life than most
Yeah, like he doesn't have to deal with Botoxed models on the mainland.
influencers.
Like
Like
the
that
Finnish-
soldier did. That poor soldier.
Yeah, exactly. He had a shit. You heard how shit his life was. He's like, I should have become an Uber driver like my friend. My hot fiance with duck lips is gonna bang my best friend. Like he's having a terrible time. Jim is just
Yeah.
like he's got a daughter who
Teaching lessons
respects
to his
him.
daughter.
He's teaching history. They've got a good banter. He's making like toasted sandwiches or something. Like,
yeah.
who hasn't looked for a life on the British Isles like that? Okay.
you make a good point. But it like I don't know. Is there not something sad about teaching history to your kids when there's actual history happening outside in the outside world around you? Right, like. As in they're kind of trapped in time, right? Like their history ends in 2004 or whatever it is, and that's it.
How good. He's probably like, he's like, watch this movie, love. See this guy here that bumps into Kevin in the tower? His name's Donald Trump. And he's like, what a funny dude.
Never hear
That's
from him
it.
again.
Doesn't know that he's actually like a
What
hit.
happens to
Doesn't
him?
know that he's talking about history, and he's like, oh wait, shit, there's actually a new Hitler in town. I didn't
right.
know that.
He's
He doesn't
probably
know.
watching- He's probably watched Rush Hour and he's like, Brett Ratner, visionary. He is going places.
How funny! He's teaching his daughter all these like people. He's like, these are great people. Like, he's like,
Bryan
what? Look,
Singer,
this is my
another
favorite
great
comedian,
character.
Russell Brand. He's awesome. He's like, he's so
watching,
funny. He's from England, like me.
He's like,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
Kevin Spacey film. Kevin Spacey, good guy, nice guy.
Let's watch some Bill
Yeah.
Cosby reruns. Yeah, no,
It's just all him watching cancelled people. It's just that's all it is. Eh? Yeah.
That's all this movie's about. It's just about the kid.
and this is the Spanish flu, the only pandemic the world ever had. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
Thank God that never happened again, eh? Yeah, no, I think you're right. He is really bittersweet. And the fact that he's talking so heavily about like history and he's speaking about it with a reverence for
Yeah.
British history and Churchill and like
yeah,
obviously have like the fact that it's like they are living in an island hut and the world for them has effectively ended. Like, why do you teach history in that point, right? Why are you teaching history there? Because your future is pretty limited. Your life is very limited down to survival. It's a fascinating choice to have him be like, he's about to put his daughter through an exam. Like, he's setting her exams and he's educating. He's like, what is the point of this? It's like, well, that's what life is. And like, the bittersweetness here is obviously part of Garland's whole thing, like the humanity of all this.
Yeah.
It's like, it will be really sad. I think Jim definitely dies in the next film, whatever happens.
Sure.
And there's but there's something beautiful. He's had a life. He's had a full life with his daughter, or something close to a life with his daughter, and he will make a sacrifice or whatever. And based off that conversation, history repeats, and so he will die. Like you said, Luke, a father and a daughter, and he will probably die, and something will go wrong, and then on it will go, because violence is not just a virus; it's in all of us, and rage is in all of us.
Exactly. It is.
Yeah.
Rage.
That pretty much sums up my thoughts on the movie.
What a movie. No, I don't think so. I definitely was not what I was expecting after the first one. And even coming out of, I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. But the more the more distance I've got on it, the more I've thought about it, and how just, I don't know, like I really like this movie. Like it's I don't know, it's not what I expected, but it's better than what I expected, probably, to be honest.
Let's rank all four.
Sure. For me, it's 28 Days Later still the best, then Bone Temple, then Years, then Weeks.
I'm the same, except for I think I still like 28 Years Later better than Bone Temple.
That's fair.
Ooh. 28 Years first.
Really?
You didn't watch 28 Days Later in the early 2000s.
No, I watched
shows.
it for the first time 6 months ago. So
yeah, if you'd seen it before, yeah.
Yeah. So Years, Bone Temple, Days, Weeks.
Wow, that's just wrong, but okay.
I'd have to. No, Days was really good. I liked Bone Temple.
No, look, do your thing. Do what you want.
Yeah, stop making me feel bad.
I'll judge you.
Years I loved though. Like the first Years, I really, really loved it. I for sure was like, oh, this is the strongest movie of the.
No, they're really close in my mind. It's like, it's 1A and 1B. I think the first one, 28 Years, suffers in inverted commas just from a little, like, it has a lot of world building to do. Whereas this one's sort of able to synthesize the conflicts and the themes and the ideas a little bit. It's freed up from that burden. It doesn't have to worry about it. Like we said, it doesn't have to explain who any of these characters are. It can just get straight into the core ideas and like.
So you rated Bone Temple over Years?
Yeah, and it could go either way. Like when the next one comes out and I already watched them, I could easily change it. Like I think overall I prefer Danny Boyle's flourishes and stuff. Nita Costa's definitely got her own style, but it's not like distracting, which I think is the perfect choice. And the first one has like better music and stuff, but this one has incredibly like some beautiful shots of just like the sky and sort of showing time passing through like the different I don't know what they're called, lights and the different sort of like lunar events. I don't know, this movie really worked for me for some reason.
How excited were you when the original theme came back at the end?
I'm always holding out for those for both of them. Because the first one ended with the Godspeed You Black Emperor, and then this one ended with In the House in a Heartbeat.
Yeah,
and I'm always
theme.
So freaking good, man.
Yeah.
What do you got? Do you guys have any ideas about what you think this next film will be?
Like, I can't help but think it's got to be the island and the dad. Like, I feel like there's too much there. We get like the little glimpses of the weird rituals with the masks and stuff like that. And obviously, it could be the thing that you talked about in this, where it's just we don't need to know the answers to that. There's weird shit that's happening, but it's like not like we need to know. There's just that's out there. But I feel like surely Spike's story with his dad isn't resolved yet.
No.
Yeah.
It's got the big question of the baby, right? The infected baby that's not infected, because that's taken back to the village.
Yes.
Shit, completely forgot about that.
So did I, but then I read it.
Completely forgot. Shit, completely forgot about that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I don't mind the idea of like, Cillian Murphy and those going to the island, and they're the ones who are like, shit's not right here. Like, they're the ones who can see it because they're not part of that community. Maybe, I don't know.
But Spike already knew that. Spike was like, "Oh, something's weird going on here."
Yeah, part of me makes me think they won't go back there then, but I don't know.
Would you be pissed off if they don't? If they just never go back there, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's like He's not trusting it.
Just banging.
It just feels like
banging his way through that
He's
village.
plowing that young woman who he's with. He's just having a great life with her, raising that.
He's like, no kids.
I just don't.
That's the English way.
It feels like too much to do that. Plus, have some resolution for Jimmy and have Cillian Murphy back. It's like a lot. I feel like.
Yeah. I'm assuming Samson returns to the island and he says, "Where's my baby at?"
Plus, we got to do something about Samson. Yeah.
And then he's like wearing clothes and he's like really softly spoken. He's kind of like John Cena. He's just like, "Please, I'm not one of them anymore." And they're like, I don't know, but come on in. And then they accept him. And he's like a celebrity, but then they turn on him last minute, and they're like, he's still an alpha.
And then somebody sees his penis, and they're like, "Wait, you're the alpha." That's how they recognize him.
I've seen that dog before. Now I need to see John Cena as an alpha.
Anyway.
Now I need to see John Cena as an alpha.
That's
That's
good
great.
casting. Yeah,
Yeah.
getting his kid off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
All right. Cool.
right.
Well, that was 28 years later. The Bone Temple. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Good, the Mad, the Worst. It is brought to you by my books, the 28 Days Later, The Taste of Iron, and several days later from that, The God
Boning
Grotesque. The Bone, and there's The Boning Temple. It's just a lot of smut, but it's all written by me. It's not like fanfic.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's legit. If you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. What are we talking about next week? What do we say?
We are doing the Anxiety trilogy.
That's right. The Safdie's Anxieties, yep.
Yes.
So what are the three movies again? There's Uncut Gems, Good Time,
Good Time, Uncut
and
Gems, and Marty Supreme.
Marty Supreme.
Get prepared to sweat, boys.
I was going to say, get ready to sweat and sit on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Looking forward to that. All right, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Yeah.